What do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monty Sports Show. It is Sunday, May 1st, 2022. I am your host, Monty Perez, aka the Sports Whisperer. I want to thank everyone for watching last week. We are at now over 550,000 views on TikTok. Make sure to follow me there, Monty Perez231. Follow me on Twitter, MontyJP231. And on Facebook and Instagram, I'm not really active there, but definitely check me out on TikTok. Definitely check me out on Twitter. One of our guests canceled today, so it's just going to be me and Orrie Hicks. But what a show we have for you. Orrie's going to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. Terrible news coming out of Philadelphia. Joel Embiid has a fractured orbital bone. We're going to talk to Orrie about that. What the hell is Joel Embiid doing in a game 6 in the game up 29 points? That's when he got the inadvertent elbow to the face, and now he may miss the series. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. We're going to talk about the NFL draft. Three teams that I think, and I will have an article on this tomorrow. There are three teams that I think won in the draft. One is the New York Jets. I think the Jets got not only three starters, and I'll get into this later, but also three potential Pro Bowl players. I love what the Detroit Lions did. The Detroit Lions got a stud in Hutchinson in their defensive back, and they got a top 5 wide receiver in the draft from the University of Alabama in Williams. So Detroit gets better on defense. They get someone else to throw to Jared Goff, someone for Jared Goff to throw to. And I like what the Eagles did. And we'll talk about that with Orrie Hicks in about 10, 15 minutes. Keep the chats coming. Someone already texted me this morning saying that the chat room is giving them problems. We are looking into that every week. We try to check that out and make sure that it's up and running. But feel free to text me or email me, and I'll try to read your comments if you can't get into the chat. All right. We start each show with the good, the bad, and the funny. Okay. So I'm not really big on individual awards. When someone wins MVP, I don't care. I don't even think players care anymore. It's good for if you have in that contract, it's good to go on your resume. But I'm always about it's all about who wins, right? It's all about who wins. But that doesn't mean we should minimize the accomplishments of these individual players. Charles Barkley is one of the greatest power forwards to ever play the game. Karl Malone. Neither one of them have a ring. Patrick Ewing doesn't have a championship ring. You look at Dan Marino, doesn't have a ring, right? These are guys who were top 5 players when they played in their prime and they never had a championship. But that doesn't mean that they're not great players. And one of the things that I try to tell my friends, for example, Jared, my friend Jared, he always criticizes game to game. And I'm like, Jared, stop being a fanboy, right? Stop being a fanboy. Stop being a prisoner of the moment. You got to look at the collective of a career. For example, if LeBron James misses a game winning shot, it doesn't tarnish his legacy. Look what he's done over his career. He's not choking. He just missed, right? He just missed. Bogdanovich out in Utah, they design a play against Dallas in game 6 at home. He has a wide open three. He misses it. I mean, he didn't choke. I'm sure he felt confident. I'm sure he felt that the shot was going to go in. So let's not look at these individual games over the course of a season. For example, if your Major League Baseball player who's batting 350 or 340 or 330 strikes out during a game, oh, he sucks. That's what the fan was. Really? He's batting 330. So let's stop it. So one of the things I want to talk about is, and again, he's my boy. I like him. I think he's a phenomenal player. But Trae Young got manhandled in the playoffs against the Heat. He got manhandled. Let's be honest. They bullied him. We're starting to see this, and I said it last year when it happened. PJ Tucker, okay, for 7 games just pounded Kevin Durant against the Nets when he was on Milwaukee. And in game 7, the final shot, Kevin Durant to win it shoots an air ball. He had no legs. He was exhausted. PJ Tucker physically beat him up. That's what the Boston Celtics did to the Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets. They pushed him around. They beat him up. Miami Heat beat up Trae Young. But let's not say this guy's not an elite point guard. Let's not say that this guy is not on pace to become a Hall of Fame basketball player. He needs to get stronger. Steph Curry has gained about 15 pounds of muscle since he got into the league. Why? Teams started to bully him, push him around. Now it's not like the '80s with the Knicks and the Pistons where you could really beat people up, but you could physically impose your will on players still, right? I mean, defense can still play. But to say that Trey Young is not an elite point guard because he played bad against the Miami Heat. Remember what he did last year? They got to the conference finals, and he dominated the number one defense in the Knicks and the number two defense in the Philadelphia 76ers. So let's not all of a sudden talk about Trey Young like, he hasn't proved anything. Now let's go back and look at all-time great point guards, right? Let's look at the all-time great point guards. And I'm not going to count their rookie year because the rookie year you're learning. But let's look at their second and third year. Okay, let's start with John Stockton. John Stockton in his second year averaged 7 points and 7 assists a game. Steve Nash, 9 points, 3 assists. 9 points, 3 assists. Gary Payton, the glove, one of my all-time favorite players. 9.6 assists. Trey Young has been the most consistent point guard in the last 4 years. His rookie year, he averaged 19 and 9. His second year, he averaged 29 and 9. His third year, he averaged 25 and 9. And this year, he averaged 28 and 9. So he needs to learn. First thing, he's got to gain about 10 more pounds of muscle. He can't get pushed around like that. So he needs to develop. But the guy's in his fourth year. He's 23 years old. Remember, LeBron James couldn't win in Cleveland, right? 7, 8 years in Cleveland. He had to leave and go to Miami and win. KD couldn't win in Oklahoma. KD could not win in Oklahoma. Lost in 5 games to the Miami Heat and LeBron. Why are we criticizing this guy who's 23 years old and did something that no other guy has done since Nate Tiny Archibald this year? He had the most points and the most assists. And for all you people saying, oh, he's got to win something, he's 23 years old. 23. And they went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So let's stop being a prisoner of the moment. Let's stop saying, "Oh, this guy sucks" because they don't win a series. Okay? LeBron James couldn't win. KD couldn't win till their 7th, 8th, 9th year, 10th year. So let's just slow down. Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards of all time. The guy doesn't have a ring. Now, I'm sure yeah. Yes, he does. He does need to. Yeah. Thank you, Greg. By the way, Nuts and Bolts Sports, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, did the draft. Bill, Carol, Jeff Barnes, and Greg was the co-host yesterday. They were on the air yesterday, I think from 11 to 7, 11 to, I checked in and out, running in and out. Did a great job. So congrats to them for covering the draft. So, yeah, covering the draft. They did a tremendous job. All right. So that's the good. And I want to go to the second part of the good. I don't know what's going on, but all of a sudden, I'm in love with Atlanta. talk about the Atlanta Hawks. Talk about the Atlanta Falcons now with Marcus Mariota. Okay, Marcus Mariota. Now I know you guys are going to say I'm biased, and I am, but let's be honest here. I'm pretty critical of my teams. I'm not a fanboy. I don't think I've never said the Packers were going to win the Super Bowl. Last year, that was the best team Aaron Rodgers had since I've been watching them as an adult, and I thought they had a chance. But that was the only year that I thought, hey, their defense is playing well. They have a chance. But Marcus Mariota now is in Atlanta, and they're putting some skill position players around him. They drafted the wide receiver out of USC. Pitts is an absolute stud. So here's what I'm going to say. And people, I want you to save this, okay? Because this is not me being a fanboy. This is me going off of just the type of person he is. Mariota was the best college football quarterback I've ever seen in my life, right? And people thought I was crazy, but when you look at it, his junior year, not his senior, and for all you people who say, oh, it was Chip Kelly, no, it wasn't. Mariota played as a freshman with Chip Kelly, and Chip Kelly left. So it wasn't only Chip Kelly. So he led the nation in touchdowns, passing efficiency, total offense. And here's what people don't understand. In the history of the Heisman Trophy winner, he had the third highest vote total ever. 95.16% of the votes went to Marcus Mariota of the ballots. Had 107 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Now, I know what you're going to say. College quarterbacks don't translate to the pros, and you're right. Tim Tebow was a phenomenal college quarterback, right? He tried out for tight end. It was a disaster, right? Charlie Ward. Remember Charlie Ward? Won the Heisman Trophy with Florida State. He didn't even go to the NFL. He became a Knicks point guard. Mariota was 36-5 in college. And here's what I'm going to say. He is now, for the first time in his life, okay, for the first time in his life, he was a backup, right? This guy has been praised as a great quarterback his whole life. He just spent 2 years behind Derek Carr. And let's be honest, when he played, okay, 2 years ago against the Chargers, when Justin Herbert was a rookie in his rookie year, he came off the bench and he was phenomenal. Look at the weapons he has now. Okay, let's look at the weapons. Now I know their offensive line is going to struggle, but I'm telling you right now, he was too good of a quarterback. He has too much skill to not succeed. And I think now his greatest weakness was that he was too much of a nice guy. I've seen Mariota on press conferences in Tennessee where the play calling was so atrocious. I remember I was watching a game one time with my dad, and I called, I think in the first half, they ran over 25, 26 plays in a row. And 23 of the 25, I called what they were going to be, either a run or a pass. It was so predictable. And I said to my dad, I said, let's see what he says after the game. And they questioned the play calling. And Mariota, being the nice guy, says, when the coach calls a play, it's up to me and my team to make it work. He's too nice of a guy. I have to assume that being a backup now and not he doesn't care about the limelight. He's not on social media, but I got to assume that he's going to be kind of a little nasty, a little baddish. Remember, LeBron James was always a nice guy. Then he went to being the villain in Miami. He said he didn't like the villain, and he went back to being just whoever. Mariota is too nice. He's too nice. That's his greatest weakness. But after being a backup, after all the success you've had, after all the praise you have, I have to assume that he's going to have a monster year. Because when you look at his skill set, he has a better skill set than a lot of starting quarterbacks. He can run, he's accurate, he's a film junkie. So I'm going on record and saying that the Atlanta Falcons think that Mariota is a stopover. He's a one and done, maybe two and done. I'm going on record that this guy is going to have a monster year. He's too good of a quarterback to not be successful in the NFL. And I hope he's a little bit more aggressive. Remember when the Titans played the Chiefs in the second half and they actually upset the Chiefs? He called the plays in the playoffs. He actually called the plays in the second half at the line of scrimmage, and they came back and won. All right, so I'm full of Atlanta. I'm full of Atlanta. All right, so now let's get to the bad. Listen, I don't know what's going on in Utah. But it's the same thing every year with the Jazz. It's the same thing every year with the Jazz. And I don't know what to think or what to say because, there's a trend. Jeff Van Gundy says this all the time. And Jeffrey Newholm brought this up last week on the show. And it kind of shocked me because it was such a great point. He said, why would you break things up when you're just so close? But does anyone think that the Utah Jazz, every year that wins 50 games, is a threat to win a title? Rudy Gobert, how many years have you been in the NBA? You're 7 feet 10 foot tall, 7 feet 10 inches tall, and you can't even post up anyone. What do you do in the offseason, Rudy? I don't understand how you don't develop a low post game. Donovan Mitchell. Now, D Wade is now a minority owner, and he's trying to get people to come in and free agency, and he's trying to make it attractive. I don't know what African American would want to go play in Utah. Got to be honest with you. I don't know what African American would want to go play in Oklahoma City. I got to be honest. But D Wade there is kind of a good move. But come on, man, Utah. Every year, they're like the Green Bay Packers, right? They're good in the regular season, and then come playoff time, they're done. Now, they normally get to the second round. And by the way, when you break these teams down, when you break down the Dallas Mavericks and the Utah Jazz, Dallas has one All-Star in Luka. He didn't play the first 3 games, and Dallas was up 2-1. Dallas has one All-Star in Luka Doncic. The Utah Jazz has Donovan Mitchell, an All-Star. Rudy Gobert, an All-Star. They have the sixth man of the year in Jordan Clarkson. They have Bogdanovich, who's a legitimate three-point shooter. You're looking at 4 or 5 players. I'm not even including Mike Conley, who's way past his prime. But you look at this roster, it's not even close. And the Lakers are talking about getting Quinn Snyder. Why? That team is as soft as whipped cream. Jason Kidd has taken a traditionally soft, offensive-minded Dallas Mavericks team all the way back to Dirk Nowitzki and turned them into a defensive team that plays with guts. One of the reasons why I like the Celtics over Milwaukee this next series is because Chris Middleton's not out, but the Celtics have a feistiness to them. They have a tough guy attitude that they never had under Brad Stevens. They swept the Nets, and they went into that game 3 and game 4, we're going to bury you. They got a toughness now that I have not seen from the Boston Celtics in years. Now, if Chris Middleton was healthy, of course I would take the Milwaukee Bucks. But I'm not going to bet against my Duke boy, Jason Tatum Brown. Marcus Smart is a bigger, stronger, better scoring version of Patrick Beverley. That's how feisty, that's how good he is. So, the Utah Jazz, going back to that, what are you doing, man? Break it up. Do something. Because this 50 wins every year and losing in the first, second round is disgusting. They played a game 5 in Dallas. They were down 30 in the third quarter. How do you go on the road game 5? And we know statistically, I think like 87% of the teams that win game 5 go on to win the series, and you're down 30. How do you do that, man? So all you people wanting Quinn Snyder or Mark Jackson to go to the Lakers, Mark Jackson ran a slow up offense in Golden State with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Mark Jackson is a worse version of Tom Thibodeau when it comes to offensive strategy. So I don't know what Utah's going to do. I hope Dwayne Wade gets involved and gets more players. But Rudy Gobert, can you develop a low post game? Can you develop one move down low after being in the league for so many years? What do you do in the offseason, man? What do you do? And if I'm the coaching staff of Utah, I'm like, you are going to play in the post for the rest of your career, or we're shipping you the hell out of here. Same thing with Clint Capella. Same thing with Clint Capella. All right. When we come back, Orrie Hicks is going to join us. Ray is under the weather. He canceled. So Orrie's going to get all the questions that I had for both of them. I hope he's mentally and physically prepared. You're watching the Full Monty Sports Show live on YouTube.
East Coast Covers, creator of the Smart Commuter Cover, designs and manufactures custom American handmade quality products. It is the only cover with an adjustable 4-toggle lock-in cord system, which lets you create the fit you want without the need for additional tie-downs. The cover conveniently self-stores when pulled into the attached backpack and also provides a pocket for storing small belongings. Nearly 42 years of riding experience are behind every design with a cover for whatever 2 wheels you ride.
Enjoy 40% off site-wide. Vitable takes the guesswork out of feeling good. Get your own personalized daily vitamin pack safely delivered to your doorstep every month. Take their online quiz to find out which vitamins and minerals can support your personal needs based on your own diet and lifestyle. Hashtag only what you need, nothing that you don't. All vitamins are manufactured in Australia at the highest quality standard. Ingredients come in the best form for their absorption by your body. Enjoy 40% off site-wide using code NBS40 at checkout.
That will never be broken.
They hit big shots with Luka. I think the Clippers have no idea.
Oh, look at that reaction. Look at that reaction. All right, let's check out the chat room. Keep them coming. Yeah. Listen, I do. Georgia on my mind. That's funny. I'm becoming an Atlanta Hawk and Atlanta Falcon fan. I don't know where that's coming from. Yeah, LeBron. I brought him up. Let's do a drink. And yes, they are. Yeah, they are soft. They are soft. I love Trey. Listen, he got manhandled, so they definitely need to improve. Guys, keep the comments coming. All right, we're going to bring on two-time Emmy Award winner, host of the TKO podcast. So much to talk about with Philly. Orrie, how are you today?
I'm good. What's going on, Monty? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Let's get the camera angle right here. All right, Orrie. So I want to start with this. My New York Mets are playing the Phillies. I wouldn't bring this up. I don't want to bring up, you know, I don't want to cause you more pain than yours. But they pitched a no-hitter with five pitchers. Great moment. The Phillies won last night. I didn't expect to hold that offense down. But on the outside looking in, Orrie, are you kind of worried about this Mets team because they are playing lights out baseball?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we kind of talked about it before. That's obviously the pitching. I mean, you get, the OG Matt Scherzer. I mean,
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, like you're legit. You already had, you got DeGrom. We'll see how, he does health-wise. McGill. I mean, Taiwan Walker. I mean, Mets got the pitching. And obviously, pitching is what really counts in October. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
all you got to do is get there. And if I could throw Scherzer and DeGrom out there, man, like that's 3 wins, first round, 4. Like the Mets are a problem. I can get to the hitting.
Oh, I said that after the first series, and my family were all Met fans. They're like, "You're crazy," and I'm like, "There's something." I said they have the pitching, they have the talent, but Buck Showalter, there's a professional in the room now, and everyone is accountable. And one of the things that I'm really bothered by this Philly team, and I witnessed it last night, and I witnessed it in the opening series. You think of a Joe Girardi team, and you think they're disciplined, they're prepared. I'm seeing running mistakes. I'm seeing throwing mistakes. I'm seeing guys swinging horrible, 0-2 pitches. They look so undisciplined. And I got to ask you, Orrie, I'm a big fan of Joe Girardi. This is not a Joe Girardi team right now.
I don't know. Philly was really happy for some reason when they got rid of Gabe and got Joe Girardi because it was like, okay, we got a made man. We got a guy that won the World Series, actually won it against us in 2009.
Right, with the Yankees.
Right. And you feel, okay, if he can play in the bright lights and of the Bronx and the Yankees, obviously, he knows baseball. He's a baseball guy. Pretty smart guy, went to Northwestern, catch and everything. So, you felt really good about, this guy. So I think I'm thinking still the roster still is getting better. And, I'm going to hang in there. But they don't.
Oh. Okay, we just lost Orrie. I'm sure it was an internet connection. He'll get back to us. And yeah, I'm going to add to his point here. You look at this team, the Phillies, and they have a lot of offensive talent. Their weakness was pitching, but this lineup is scary. I mean, you got Bryce Harper, you got Hoskins, you got Schwarber. Schwarber's batting like 170. 180. Let's bring Orrie back. Orrie, I don't know what happened there. I
Okay.
think it was an internet
We don't
connection.
know.
But I was just saying, you look at this roster offensively, and it's pretty damn scary. Schwarber hit a home run last night, but he's batting like 178.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a great opening day. We're like, all right, here we go. He's picking up right where he left off, man. And then he kind of down. But I expect him to be there. Obviously, because Castellanos is going to be good. MVP Bryce Harper, AT, the man. Reese is going to be there. So, we got some guys. I don't know if you remember, one of the kind of the big stories was Alex Bohm. He had a kind of issue like where the cameras caught him. He said, I hate this effing place. But he's been balling out. I think he is tied or leading the team right now with RBIs, and he came back from that. You know what I mean? So that's good to go. He still has to improve his fielding.
I'm sorry. You're talking about the third baseman who had some throwing issues as well, right?
Yeah, he made like 3 errors, and then he got down on himself and said, like, I hate this effing place. And but then after that, he's been balling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Joe had a talk with him, and he rose to the occasion. So I like that. It seems like, he has the voice of the locker room. The guys respect Joe. It's really up to the players, man. It's really up to them. I'm going to hold those guys more accountable. We got a nice high payroll. I'm going to hold them more accountable. But yeah, the pressure's on Joe Girardi, because if this team can't make the playoffs, he could be out of here.
And that's my next question. You look at the expectation for this team. Since 2011, the best record they've had was last year at 82-80.
Yes.
So since those World Series teams, they've really struggled over the last decade. This is not a Philly team that has really contended. They've been bad. They've been mediocre. Joe Girardi did a nice job last year, 82-80, despite that horrible bullpen. So do you have higher expectations, or you're saying, hey, man, let's just try to get to the wild card and see what happens?
Yeah, let's just try to get in. After that, 10 years of just terrible baseball, prior to that, obviously successful baseball, getting to the World Series, winning a World Series, winning divisions, it's kind of like, okay, we got to reset and let's just get back to base. Let's just get back to at least making the playoffs. This roster is good enough to make the playoffs. And on top of that, in our division, there are 2 teams that won a World Series in our division during that span and whatnot.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
annoying.
So,
I know that being a Met fan.
Right, there you go. So I think they have a great chance. Obviously, we just finished with April. We finished 500, which was good. We're on a losing streak for a while, and so we'll see what happens when it gets a little warmer at the bank. Balls start flying out. Wheeler, he had a rough first couple of days. In his last game, he bounced back really well against Colorado. I think 7 innings, 1 hit. He was masterful. So
I love Zach Wheeler, the former Met, out of DeGrom, Syndergaard, Matt Harvey. I always said Matt Wheeler was my favorite. Zach Wheeler was my favorite pitcher. I think he's a legitimate number 1 starter.
Yes, absolutely. So he's going to carry us. Nola, Nola, it's kind of funny here in Philly. Like, some people are really down on him. He's like, when is this guy going to ever be like that top, level pitcher? And he just seems like, I don't know what it is, and especially in the NL East, certain teams hit him really well, especially the Nationals. Sometimes the Mets get him, you know what I mean? So, but we're going to have to ride those guys. Kyle Gibson's going to come here and have to do his thing and whatnot. But really, it's going to be the roster, the offense. The offense is really going to have to, put some numbers up and play, as you say, disciplined baseball. And the goal is we should be a wild card. I don't think we're going to win the East, but you never know. It's baseball, 162 games, anything can happen, especially, down the stretch in September. I hate to say it, Monty, maybe the Mets get a little nervous and whatnot. Maybe the Phillies start creeping back.
No, one of the things I love about this Mets team, and I'll talk about at the end of the show, is they're 12-2 when they score the first run. Okay, with 2 outs, they're second in Major League Baseball, hitting 317. Last year, they hit 207. So they're 100 points difference with 2 outs and a runner on. And their pitching staff, up until yesterday, going into last night's game, had the lowest ERA at home for the first month of a season, I think, since like the 1960s. So on all aspects, this Mets team is clicking. But one of the things I will say, when you have Harper and you have Schwarber and you have these guys all getting on a roll like they did in Colorado, they averaged 8 runs a game. and they're still not hitting well. But once those guys get hot for 2, 3, 4 series, they're gonna win 10 out of 12.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and that's what you're banking on. We're banking on winning series as much as we can, and by the All-Star break, we're writing the things to maybe a couple of games behind and whatnot, and and we'll get it going. Cool about the Mets. My Buck. When I was working in Baltimore, Buck took over took over their Orioles team, and he made them legit. You know what I mean? Like they started making the playoffs and whatnot. So I know all about Buck. Buck he's a baseball guy. He's going to have the Mets ready.
I say this about Buck Showalter. Buck Showalter is like a Hollywood marriage. The first 2 or 3 years, it is great. Everyone's happy. And then after that, you're like, let's get divorced. Let's get this guy the hell out of Dodge. That's what it is. Buck Showalter's like a Kardashian marriage. Everything's great. That's how I look at Buck Showalter. All right, let's change the background up here. Let's talk about your Philadelphia 76ers. The first question I'm going to ask you, and when it happened, I was like, are you kidding me? Why the hell is Joel Embiid in the game when they're up 29 points in a clinching game? What the hell is it? Was Doc Rivers panicking so much because he always loses closeout games? That injury is as much on Doc Rivers as anyone else.
It's funny. I was in a group text message with some of my coworkers, and one of the guys like, why is Joel Embiid still in this game? He could get hurt. And I'm like, dude, relax, man. Like, it's cool. You know what I mean? Game's over. You know what I mean? Like, fine. And I remember the play. Yes, I remember that. And I was like, wow. And then I saw after the game was over, of course, we're really excited, happy, looking for all kind of stuff. I'm looking at NBA TV, TNT, our local stations here, just to see, the interviews and stuff. So I saw his interview, I believe, with Gus Johnson for MTV. And I looked like, man, he looked like a Philly boxer. Like he had a little shine on his jaw and whatnot. I was kind of like, wow, like it actually, because sometimes in Philly, we have like that Rocky attitude, you know what I mean? And it was like, wow, this guy took a beating and he still went up on top. And I was like, wow. And then I couldn't believe it. I was actually in my car Friday night, and I had on ESPN because I was listening to the draft because I was like, I missed the draft. And actually they switched to the basketball game. So before the basketball game started, when Minnesota Timberwolves Memphis game, it came out the breaking news about Joel Embiid, and I said, "Oh my God, you have got to be kidding me!" Like I didn't see that, and I just was like, "Oh my God!" And I just like, this is just not fair.
Oh, we lost him again. I think it's a bad internet connection, but he'll pop on right back. Yeah, listen, I don't. I mean, you're up 29 points. I don't get it. I don't understand why he's even in the game. Like, Doc Rivers, protect your assets, right? I mean, I don't understand why he was in the game. But Orrie brings up a great point, and we'll get him right back on. When it happened, I think Joel Embiid actually was quoted as saying he broke my face, and people laughed. But then, he did break his face. Okay, Orrie, let's get you back.
Yes,
so
I don't know what's going on today, but I'm sorry.
no, it's fine. So Embiid had similar injury before, and he missed 10 games, 3 weeks of the season in 2017. So can they create a mask? What's going to happen? Is he out for the series?
I mean, right now, from the latest reporting up here, is that it's indefinite. They don't know. I do remember, him having an injury a few years ago. Obviously, it happened near the end of the season. I think he only missed two playoff games because it happened at the end of the season. I'm sure they're going to go that similar route. I think it's kind of just wait and see. But if this is a two-week injury, then that's the Eastern Conference semifinals pretty much. They're blocked for about 2 weeks. So honestly, we're just waiting. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But it's terrible news. As I was saying, I just feel so bad for him.
So many
the
people
narrative,
do. Yeah.
The narrative is never going to leave him now. You know what I mean? They're always going to say, people that don't like Joel Embiid, they're going to say, "Oh, he's always hurt. He's always hurt." And yes, factually, I guess that's correct. He is, hurt a lot. But that doesn't mean that he's not a great player. And he, in my opinion, he is the MVP. And it's not just because I'm from Philly. It's something I actually believe that he is the MVP this year. And I just feel so bad for him because, that man, he wants a ring. He deserves a ring. I hope he gets a ring. Obviously, like that's life. Some people get rings and some people don't. Yeah. It just all counts that's on the court. So I'm praying for his health. I'm praying that he can get back in this series. I hope he can get back in this series. Hopefully by game 3 or game 4, maybe the Sixers, maybe we're down 2-1. He can come back for game 4. Maybe if we're tied 2-2, he can come back for game 5. That is like kind of what I'm thinking and hoping. But I'm praying that he's not done for the series. The fact that they haven't said that yet is great. And the fact that they said he does not need surgery yet is great. And we already know he's going to have surgery for the thumb. Now, we're not even talking about the thumb anymore. Remember, he has the torn ligament in his thumb and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? I will say this. Joel Embiid early on in his career was injured. He's had injuries, but the guy comes back. Kawhi Leonard has been stealing money for 2 years. They don't even know, like, he doesn't even talk to the media. At least Joel Embiid is there. He's active. By the way, Orrie, I'm getting a text from my friend Bill. They said, is that Orrie's director chair to the left of him with his name on it? Wow, man, that's pretty nice. Wow. Okay. All right. There you go. Look at that. All right. Very nice. Very nice. All right. So, listen, this is what you don't want if you're a Sixer fan. You don't want to have to rely on James Harden. Now, he's been rebounding the ball. He's been assisting the ball. He has not shot well. Again, one of the reasons why James Harden left Brooklyn is because he got into a fight with Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving said, "You're washed, old man. You're washed." So I don't think he's washed, but I can't expect him to score 38, 45 points when you need him most in a game 5 or without Joel Embiid.
Right. And, and he doesn't. I think some of the national media is probably going to say that he does. But you know what? No. You know what? The fact that since he's gotten there, that Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris has finally figured out those guys can legit drop 20 a game. And they're going to have to do that. Maxey and Tobias are going to have to average over 20 just to give the Sixers a chance against the Heat. As a facilitator, he can do it. He can create open shots. He's still going to run pick and roll. Maybe they run some pick and roll plays for Tobias Harris. Maybe they're going to have B-ball Paul in there. DeAndre Jordan, I don't think he's not. We don't need him in there. But
by the way, you talk about Drummond, and one of the things I said during that trade, people are saying that Drummond is just who cares. A healthy Drummond is 15-10, and now you don't have him.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. That's true. I can't debate that point. You're absolutely right. Having Drummond would have put the Sixers in a better position than they are today. But again, James Harden, this is why you're here. You want that Supermax deal. The pressure's on you. The national media can't wait to get on you. I think some people are actually mad. I don't know if you noticed it, but it's something I sort of felt. I think people are actually mad at Harden for they're leaving Brooklyn Nets, for leaving KD and Kyrie just to come to Philadelphia. It was that kind of like, and I feel like some people were hating on Harden because they were talking about how he quit on Brooklyn, he quit on Houston. But when he went to Brooklyn, I didn't really hear it that much that he quit on Houston. But when he came to Philadelphia, he's like, oh, he quit on Houston, he quit on Brooklyn. And as you brought up the thing with him and Kyrie and whatnot, and he got tired, sick and tired of it and whatnot, they leave that part out of the conversation. They're only talking about him, quote unquote, quitting. But the dogs are going to be out for him. They are waiting. They're going to say, see, if you're James Harden, they brought you here to not only help Joel Embiid, so he doesn't have to do so much, but when Joel Embiid is gone, you have to carry the team and whatnot. Now, most people don't have the Sixers winning the series. They didn't have him winning the series anyway. And they have no faith in Harden and whatnot. But they're going to say that, you know what? Here was his big chance. Here was his big moment, and he couldn't come through. And again, another playoff failure. They're going to add that to his quote-unquote playoff failure. So it's a lot of pressure on him. But he doesn't play. To me, it doesn't seem like he cares. In a sense, he doesn't care about what people think. He cares, in my opinion. He cares. He doesn't care. He just plays ball. But as a facilitator, Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey, and they can get their shots. They can create shots. This is where Doc, you're an NBA legend. You're a Hall of Famer. You run this offense. I believe he did say okay, this is going to be a hard and dominated offense until Joel Embiid comes back. Those guys, they're going to get shots. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be strategy. It's going to be a lot of coaching. It's going to help the Sixers win this series.
Tobias Harris can get you 25 points a night. I talked about Marcus Mariota just not having a killer instinct. It's the same thing with Tobias. I think Tobias likes being the third or fourth option when he's the number 2 option. But Maxey had 38 points in one of those games. Now, going back to Joel Embiid, I got a lot of trash talking and people saying I don't know what I'm talking about on social media when I said that Joel Embiid is the most skilled big man I've ever seen. Like, let's talk about Shaq. Shaq was the most dominant, right? Big, strong. Kareem couldn't really pass that well, was a great skyhook, not a great rebounder for his size, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Wilt Chamberlain was bigger, stronger, better than everyone. Other than Hakeem Olajuwon, who couldn't shoot like Embiid, couldn't pass like Embiid, to me, Joel Embiid is the most gifted, talented, versatile big man I've ever seen.
Right. So you look at Joel Embiid, tell me where you see a flaw in his game. Okay, so he can play the post. There's a lot of stuff he doesn't play in the post. He had more post up as far as big men go than anybody in the NBA. He can play in the post. He can play in the paint. He can drop the little mid-range. He can take it out behind the arc. He can drop threes. He's physical. He rebounds. He switches. He gets back on defense. I see him go to the free throw line and stop a guy, run back real quick, get the guy who's cutting underneath. Joel Embiid. So not only offensively, Monty, but defensively. So tell these people offensively and defensively, tell me where he lacks. And he shoots 80% from the free throw line. Tell me where the only thing.
He can run the point. He could bring the ball up. He's got a great handle.
Right. The only flaw I say sometimes he turns the ball over, and that was really early in his career. We would come to the double when they double team, and he would make a lot of. But he's improved on that. He has really, really improved on that. He's a good passer. He's not a great passer like Jokic. I'll say that Jokic is definitely a better passer than him, but he's better. He beats double. He reads the double team. He see a double team coming. He said, "Okay, I might spin the other way and shoot it." He has gotten better. Like you could just see his brain thinking. Like he is the most skilled. Physical, he can play power. I've seen him be angry. I've seen him be nasty. He's playful. He's fun. He is. I totally agree with you. He is. You combine all those guys together, and you have Joel Embiid. The only thing you really say is his injury history. You know that's about it. The most skilled. I agree. These people don't know what they're talking about.
And when you want to talk about the Joker out in Denver, he's tremendously skilled. But the one thing Embiid has over him is he's way more athletic. So when you put the whole package together, offense, defense, shooting from three, post-up players, rebounding, blocking shots, and I will say this about Embiid, this dude lives, eats, and breathes basketball. I've been saying for years, Jokic, get in the weight room. Get in the weight room. Look at Embiid here. I mean, when he came into the league, he was a little pudgy, right? And now he's chiseled. To me, he's the most skilled big man I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. His footwork. Like I said, he even got better at turning the ball over. He's improved. You got to say like he's improved. He said, okay, I have a flaw. I'm going to work on that. I have this flaw. I'm going to work on that. I mean, this guy, but he's always been a good free throw shooter. How many big men have been really great at the free throw line? You know what I mean? So he's not as powerful and as dominant as Shaq, but he's not far from it. He'll get you down there. I mean, those guys fall off of him very, very fast. And they can't hang on to that big man.
You must have loved this because to me, one of the worst moments in sports that I saw live was Kawhi Leonard hitting that game-winning shot in Game 7, and Joel Embiid walking off crying. And Joel Embiid, by the way, the play before that, Doc Rivers ran. The isolation to end the game with Embiid at the top of the key was one of the worst plays I've ever seen. But he hits that three in Toronto, kind of a revenge shot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy for Joel Embiid because the comeback to embrace the demons and whatnot. I mean, it kind of felt like, okay, like, you see things, especially in the NBA sports where it's like somebody had a crucial player, crucial turnover, and something happened and they lost it and they bounced back. And, to go back to the scene of that crime when the claw hit that 3-pointer and to see how it hurt Joel Embiid so bad for him to have that moment in Toronto and then to come back again, and have a great, a great game, closeout game and whatnot. I'm very happy that he was able to overcome that, Toronto thing. That'll never go away, but that really was like the last straw. I was like, okay, I got to get this chip. I'm doing everything I can do to win.
Yeah,
The
he
window
exercised the
was
demons
closing.
there. That was
Yeah.
phenomenal. Andrea's a huge Kawhi Leonard fan, so she absolutely loved the shot. All right, so break this series down. Can the Sixers get 1 or 2 games in the first 3, and then maybe Joel comes back, or are you looking at a 4 or 5 game series with the Miami Heat?
I mean, so as a Sixer fan, one thing that we can do that we can hold our hat on is that the last time we played Miami, there was no Joel Embiid and there was no
And you won.
Harden, and we won. And Maxey and Shake Milton also went off. And you know who we went off against? Old Tyler Hero. So that's who I'm going to use. You're going to bring Tyler Hero in there. He could not. He had nothing for him. Shake was taking him to the hole all the time. So we're going to expose him on defense and whatnot. You know what I mean? So it really depends on how healthy is Jimmy Butler. How healthy is Philly owns Kyle? Like the movie Kyle Lowry. Yep. How healthy is Kyle Lowry? So if those guys aren't as healthy and whatnot, the Sixers might have a chance. I know Oladipo had a great game. He wasn't playing before, and all of a sudden, Spoelstra started bringing him in. So maybe they have that off the bench. Bam Adebayo must be like, oh man, whoo, my life just got easier. Things are much better.
Because he's Bam has struggled over the last month of the season.
So, can the Sixers still win? They can absolutely steal a game in mind. I'm not going to say they have to, but if they lose, they have to play very well. Like it can't be 2 blowouts where they're like mentally like, okay, we got no shot. So, absolutely, they could win the game. And like I said, hopefully, by game 5 it's 2-2, and hopefully maybe Joel Embiid comes back crucial game 5. So, like I said, as a Sixer fan, you can hold your hat on that. This team has been, and Miami was full strength that day. People, they were full strength, and at that time, and that was the beginning of the losing streak for Miami. So it wasn't at the end when they lost 4 in a row. We started that losing streak.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then Jimmy Butler was supposed to got into a fist fight on the sidelines.
Yeah, right. Later in the week. So if you're the Sixers, you can hold your hat on that. Like, hey, we beat this team. We can beat them without Joel. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm not going to lie. Not having Joel Embiid is huge, man. Like, I would have to be honest, and I'm going to have to say without Joel Embiid, Miami should win this series. If I'm being objective and whatnot. But I'll just say, let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see how the health of Jimmy Butler is, Kyle Lowry, and Joel Embiid. Let's just see how it goes, because anything can happen depending on the health of those 3 players. So, but I'm going to pick. Obviously, I'm going to pick him because Joel Embiid definitely knows not playing game 1. So,
listen, it's a shame because you hate seeing any player get injured during the playoffs. I thought with Joel Embiid they would win the series. We'll see how it pans out. All right, let's move to the Philadelphia Eagles. I said the Jets, the Lions, and Eagles had the best 2 days of the draft. Let's talk about your first-round draft pick, Jordan Davis, defensive tackle out of Georgia. How about Georgia? Bunch of players on. People wonder how Alabama lost to Georgia. Well, I don't know. They had 6-7 guys drafted in the first 2 rounds who played defense. So this is something that they need, a guy who's going to clog up the middle, a run stopper. Were you shocked and happy with this pick?
I was so happy with the pick because I don't know if you remember mine on some of our previous shows. I told him I'm an inside out guy, and I want to build the trenches, and so that just fits perfectly for me of what I want and how I believe my team should build. This guy is a big boy. He's going to, like you say, he's going to clog up the middle. He's going to stop the run. He's going to let the guys eat. He's going to let the ends rush and whatnot. You know what I mean? You can't move this young man. He's got, I'm sure obviously will hit you, but they'll get them right. Those guys know how to get these guys to weight that they need to perform. And obviously he's playing with he's going to get to play with Fletcher Cox, in my opinion, future Hall of Famer. And so he'll learn the ropes from the best guys. What better way to come in and have Fletcher Cox as a guy that's going to like help you, and you take the mantle now. Maybe you become in a tradition of great defensive tackles, and Philadelphia Eagles history with Jerome Brown, Reggie White, who also played tackle, and Fletcher Cox, Hall of Fame, and now Jordan Davis. You're going to be one of the next great defensive tackles in Philadelphia Eagles history. That means a lot here. We love our defensive line. We love our tackles.
I thought it was a very smart pick. And then they did something I did not see coming. They go out and they trade for AJ Brown. This guy's an absolute stud in a super conservative offense in Tennessee that relies on Derrick Henry. AJ Brown was a top 10 wide receiver every year. He's 24 years old. I mean, talk about getting a legitimate player who's not even in his prime yet the night of a draft.
Absolutely. I mean, probably the best wide receiver free agent pick, or well, not free agent. I'm sorry, wide receiver pickup. Maybe since To. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been struggling on getting and acquiring wide receivers via free agency and or trade. So yeah, he's physical, legit. No, he had some drops last year, and his yards were down last year, but he was injured. I mean, I think he missed a couple games. Like you said, he's 24. He's going to be solid, and it gives Jalen Hurts a legit guy to throw to. So it's on Jalen. It's on Jalen now. You got a legit guy. You got obviously Devontae Smith, Heisman Trophy winner, who is going to be your other outside guy. We have legit wide receivers that the defense are going to have to pay attention to.
And
Yeah.
he signed, right? Like he signed a 4-year
Yes,
deal.
yeah.
So people were saying, "Oh, they're gonna have to re-sign him." According to reports, 4-year, $100 million contract with the Eagles, 57 million guaranteed in 3
Right.
years in Tennessee, 185 catches, 8 touchdowns. This guy's a top 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 wide receiver for the last couple of years.
Absolutely. So now we got like you said, we got a top 10 receiver. On our team. We haven't had that, maybe since a Deshaun Jackson or something like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we're very, very excited. How he did great. That's fine. You draft your future, but then also sometimes you still get that's now in the NFL there where we're trading these picks to get some of the, some of these listeners, to build your roster and whatnot. So,
Well, Orrie's having a problem with the internet, but I could hear him. I don't know if you guys did, and I'm sure he'll come back. We look at what the Rams have done over the past few years, right? Sean McVay has been to 2 Super Bowls over the last few years. Okay, Sean McVay, also, and what the Rams are doing, and what Orrie was trying to say is, listen, sometimes you have draft picks, and those draft picks need time to develop. But if you could get a young guy, and let's be honest, the Rams haven't even gotten young guys, right? They've gotten veterans, not almost on the tail end of their prime. But we're starting to see that if you could get a quality player and give up a draft pick, it's worth it. And that's what the Eagles have done here with A.J. Brown. And Orrie, so I want to talk about this offense. I said the year before the Eagles won, and that's because I had a lot of faith in Carson Wentz. I said, if I'm taking a team right now over the next 5 years, I would take the Eagles. They went on and won the Super Bowl without Carson Wentz, right? But if I'm taking a team right now over the next 5 years, let's look at this offense. Jalen Hurts is 23. A.J. Brown is 24. Devontae Smith, who had a very good rookie year with absolutely no help, 23 years old. Miles Sanders, their running back, 24. And the guy that no one's talking about, who I think is going to have a monster year, is their tight end, Dallas Goedert. I think he's going to be huge in the red zone. I think with their speedy wide receivers on the outside, it's going to leave him open all the time. Do you expect Dallas Goedert to be the leading receiver on this team, or is that a crazy theory?
Well, the Eagles have had a history of it, right? Zach Ertz was the leading receiver on the team one time, so there is history to say that the Eagles might do that, and it depends on Jalen Hurts if you feel like Dallas Goedert is his safety net. It's quite possible that Dallas Goedert could lead the team receptions. I hope not. I would like our wide receivers to do that. You would spread around, but yeah, Dallas Goedert is a legit tight end. Replacing the great Zach Ertz. And yeah, the Eagles, like there are really no excuses. I mean, we got some legit players. When it comes to Miles Sanders, sometimes he's gets a little beat up and whatnot. So we're going to absolutely going to have some depth at the running back position. But he's a home run hitter. I still want him there. You never know. He'll pop off a good 20, 25-year-old run and whatnot. You know what I mean? So they Eagles have a very young team with that veteran offensive line. offensive line in football, in my opinion, if not maybe top three. We led the league in rushing last year. That was so we got Hall of Famers on the offensive line, in my opinion, and whatnot. So, so Hurst will have the time. We're going to run a game. We're going to run the RPO game. It's up to him. He's the guy. It all comes down to Jalen. Comes down to him.
Well, one of the things I like what the Eagles doing, and I don't understand this, I freaked out. I know the Bears got two very good defensive backs, right? But you have a young quarterback in Justin Fields. You just lost Robinson to the Rams, okay? Now they're talking about Deebo Samuel is no way in hell, shape, or form going to re-sign with the San Francisco 49ers, and you have a young quarterback in Trey Lance. I like what the Eagles are doing because my mindset is when you have a young quarterback, and I said this previous on the show, like a Josh Allen, you go out and you get a Stephon Diggs, right? Look at what Justin Herbert stepped into in Los Angeles, a plethora of wide receivers. So what the Eagles are doing now is they're building a team. They have a good offensive line. They now have two legitimate number ones in wide receivers because I think Smith will eventually be that. You have a very good tight end. They're doing the right thing, right? And building around their young quarterback. So they must believe in him.
I was about to say, man, to give him every opportunity. Like he is getting a legit chance. Some would say, man, he got a better opportunity than Carson Wentz. So they're giving him every opportunity. But they also did, Monty, have another thing. They like, okay, well, look, if you don't come through, we got these first round picks. We can move him and get a quarterback next year. So it's all up to him. It is all up. Like I said before, he has a legit chance, especially offensively, to give him every opportunity to take this, become the franchise quarterback, get yourself a long-term deal. He's got a shot. He's got a legit shot.
He's got a legit shot. And I will, and one of the things I just like the whole Philadelphia organization, right? You went to a Super Bowl, you had some down years, you said, okay, we're moving on with Carson Wentz. They take shots, right? One of the things I love about the Rams are super aggressive. The fact that they went out and got A.J. Brown when no one saw that coming, right? Everyone thought, hey, maybe they'll get a wide receiver in the draft. No one saw this coming. Under the radar, great wide receiver at 24 years old. They're being super aggressive in a division that Dallas has not been to a Super Bowl since Troy Aikman. The Giants with Daniel Brown, they're not signing him to a fifth-year deal. So Daniel Jones, I'm sorry, is a guy. And let's face it, what is Washington doing? Do we believe in their quarterback? I don't know. So I look at the Eagles right now, and when I first coached college basketball, we were rebuilding the team. After my first year, we were the hunted. I would much rather be the hunted than the hunter because when your team is good and you're winning games, you want to practice more. No one wants to go to practice when you're 5-9 and 5-10. So are the Eagles now the favorite to win the NFC East?
As much as I would like to say that, I'll give respect to the Cowboys and say they should because they allegedly have the best quarterback in the division. Prescott, he's the best quarterback in the division. And so, I have to be honest, you know what I mean? I want to see more from my quarterback in Jalen, you know what I mean? But it's not like Dak is that much better than Jalen. Like Jalen can catch him. He can. And Dallas got some young guys on the defense, but sometimes they seem undisciplined and whatnot. Their offensive line is not great. It hasn't been great. I know they drafted someone. And they lost Amari Cooper. It's gotten closer. Would I be surprised if Eagles won the division? Absolutely not, because we know in the NFC East, nobody wins the division. Nobody wins back-to-back. We were the last team to go back to 2004. So history tells you Dallas Cowboys are not winning the division. So if history says that, and you think that the Eagles are the next best team, then yes, you can come to that conclusion. But I'm just going to say, all right, I'll just say I want to give the Cowboys a slight edge only because I think Dak Prescott is a little better than Jalen. Jalen, to me, has to prove more. I don't think he can spot of him.
Orrie, let's not. A lot of Eagle fans have this like doom and gloom. You made the playoffs last year in a rebuilding year.
Yeah,
with a first-year coach.
We did. Yeah. And we made the play. So don't get me wrong. I expect the Eagles to make the playoffs. Like I'm not saying, if we don't, you know what I mean? Like the NFC, and especially the NFC is not strong. All the heavy hitters are in the AFC. So the Eagles should absolutely, make the playoffs. And they will compete for this division. I'll say this, Dallas will not sweep them. Actually, we only really played them one time because the second game we didn't play our starters. But I believe that the Eagles will split with Dallas this year. And we'll be competing with them for the division. Yeah, I expect Eagles to make the playoffs. I expect them, if not to win the NFC East, to compete for NFC East. I'm just giving Dallas just a slight edge, only because Dak Prescott is a little bit better than.
Right here, this is 100% true. I had in my mock draft, I had the Eagles drafting Jalen Rager. I also had the Atlanta Falcons taking the wide receiver from USC, which not a lot of people did. So I'm sorry, Orrie. I thought Rager was going to be a perfect fit them. What? I mean, are you as disappointed as I am?
It's funny. I feel bad for the kid because I am disappointed. But man, people are that. It's funny. My friend was texting me last night. Yesterday. I'm like, we're having like a 10-minute conversation about Rager. We could be texting about any other things. We could be texting about what happened in the draft. Like we could talk about the good things. He is texting me about Rager. Why is he still on the team? Why is he still there? And I'm like, bro, relax. Like it's just. Like he might make the team. He could make the team. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's not the number 1 or 2 anymore. 3, maybe. You know what I mean? So, yes, I am. But there are people who are extremely down, and I feel bad. And it's because of Justin Jefferson. And it's because you know how athletes are now.
Young guys now. Jamar Chase, same thing.
Yeah, right. When you see that, you see production, and it's more an indictment on how we not getting that right versus Jalen himself. But Jalen still feels it. And then he's a young guy, especially in the social media era now. These guys, they grew up in this. They clap back. They defend them. Yeah. They don't want their name dragged through it. And they say, oh, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show this and that. And then he fumbles or he doesn't do anything. It's kind of like, So
I don't know if you saw
I feel bad.
I don't know if you saw the clip, but there's a clip from a few years ago where a Philadelphia Eagle fan, there was a building on fire, and they were actually throwing babies down from the second and first floor, and the guy's catching the baby. And during an interview, he says, they were throwing me the babies, and I wasn't going to be like Nelson Aguilar. I caught everyone they threw. And then God bless Nelson Aguilar. He actually got in touch with the guy and sent him in his box and sent it to but this is Philadelphia, right? Like you drop a pass, the guy's saving babies from being on fire, and he brings up Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was one of the stories that ran viral, that ran through all the media stations up here and whatnot. Yeah, he's like, unlike Aguilar. So even in that moment, that's even a moment of things that are happening in our lives, we're still thinking about our Eagles.
So I'm going to talk about this at the close of my show. But Orrie, it's got to be a good feeling for you because I think the Phillies, once they get situated, they have a chance to make the playoffs. I think the Eagles right now are maybe not the best team, but they're pretty close. They're better than they were last year. And the 76ers have a legitimate chance to win. So if you're a Philly fan, this is all you want, right? You have 3 teams that are really, really getting better and in contention to all make the playoffs and do well in the playoffs.
I tell people that all the time. This is how I'm a sports fan. First of all, I love my teams no matter what. So I ride with them, die with them, whatever. Those are my teams. But as a sports fan and as a consumer, someone who purchases tickets and things of that nature, roach and things like that. When I'm being a fan, all I want, the main thing I want is for my team to say we have a legit chance to compete for the playoffs. Just give me. That's all I need. I can get into the tournament. Like just I need. And most would say history. We've done pretty well in that in Philadelphia. Our teams made the playoffs. The Eagles. Look at this. Let's look at this century. 2 Super Bowls. Super Bowl win. We've won the division more than every team in our division. We've won more playoff games than every team in our division. We've seen future Hall of Famers on our team, so we've seen great players. The Eagles have done a great job over the past 20 some odd years, and they give our city a chance every year. Every year, like it's real. Like we got a shot at making the playoffs. And obviously we're a very passionate fan base, but not only that, we want a legit chance. So Yeah, so yes, the Eagles, the Phillies with their payroll and having superstars, like I told you in a previous episode before, having Bryce Harper, he chose us, Monty, big time free agent. He chose us. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously he's not going to be the only single reason why Phillies can win the World Series, but he's box office and he has that swagger, and hopefully it trickles down to the other players, and those players perform and they make the playoffs. And the Sixers obviously are in the playoffs. Sixers have been in the playoffs the past few years. Now for the Sixers is now getting past the second round, and now we're kind of sneaked with the Joel Embiid injury. But I'm not gonna count us out. Maybe we even get over the hump, and like, wow, that would be so amazing for this city and town, because most people legit think, okay, well, probably the series is probably over. We're hoping and praying that Joel Embiid can come back, but at least we're there. At least we ain't Brooklyn. At least we ain't home like those dudes. Remember what I told you? Remember I told you about Brooklyn? Didn't I tell you how you could beat that team? I told you exactly how to beat them.
Wrong. And I was so wrong about Brooklyn. And I just thought that because of their past postseason success, again, let's look at that Brooklyn team real quick, and then we'll get you out of here. We have a couple minutes left. So you have Kevin Durant, 2-time MVP. You have Kyrie Irving, who, whatever you want to say about the flat earther, this guy elevates during the playoffs, right? And you have Patty Mills, you had Goran Dragic, you had all these guys. Blake Griffin, when he played, was great. So is it Steve Nash? I mean, Kyrie Irving is so delusional. He said that him and Kevin Durant have to make the coaching decisions, have to make Kyrie, shut up, dude. You just got swept. You got outplayed, and I said this after game 2. I said Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are better than Kyrie and Kevin Durant. And let's be honest about Kevin Durant here. He's never won without Golden State.
Yeah, that's legit. You're right, Monty.
Final question here. I love him as a manager. If they don't make the playoffs, are you coming back with Joe Girardi, or are you like, okay, maybe it's time to move on? I think he's a good manager, and I've seen a ton of Philly games so far. I have the MLB package, but this team is playing very undisciplined, which is unlike him. So are you a little worried about what he's doing?
No, too early to be worried. We just got through the first month, you know what I mean? And the whole thing before baseball, are they playing and this and that? So, they really have a lot of time to get together and practice and things of that nature. No, too early. I'm not worried yet. Like I said, this is okay month where we finished, the month at 11/11. We start May. Sunday night with your New York Mets and whatnot. And once the weather gets warmer and whatnot, I expect this team to be better. And like I said, I have expectations of this team making the playoffs. And if they don't make the playoffs, Monty, then I think he's gone. I think that management is going to feel like, okay, like this team should be there, especially right now with the other teams in the NL East struggling. And don't worry, I know they're going to get back. Atlanta's going to get better and whatnot. I think it probably looks like it's going to be a 3-team race between the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves. Listen, we got to get one of those wild card spots if we don't win the division. That's absolute at a minimum. Got to have it. Got to do it. We got a legit horse. We got Nola. We got batters. Yeah. We can work on defense. You can work on those things. We got a World Series winning manager. We have great fans. There are no excuses for the Philadelphia Phillies to not make the playoffs, other than injuries. If we're decimated by injuries, then I'll take that excuse. But other than that, no.
Not just that. You want to be buyers at the trading deadlines. You don't want to be sellers. So you want to be at that 500 mark. One of the things I love about the Mets is just their consistency. They've won their first 6 series. So tonight we have Scherzer going. I think it's on ESPN, the game tonight. So I'm hoping that they win their 7th game, because Scherzer has been lights out. I mean, he's been phenomenal. All right, Orrie. Always a great time. Had a little problem with the internet. I don't know what's going on. It might be the fact that I live a block from the beach here, and they're doing an air show. So I don't know what's going on with the airwaves here. Nice. But how can we follow you? How can we support you?
Absolutely. Yes. You can follow the TKO podcast, follow us on YouTube or anywhere you can find, if you want. That's the video version, audio version, anywhere you can find a podcast, Spotify, or wherever you want, where check us out and whatnot. We're working on some changes. We're going to try to elevate the podcast a little more. We have check us out on Facebook page, TKO podcast on Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. And let us know, give us your comments, see some things, let us know about things that you would like to see and whatnot. So Check us out.
Listen, always love having you on. I didn't know you had a Facebook page. I'm on TikTok and Twitter. Those are my two things. Facebook, I really don't care, but I'll follow you today and try to support you. And please, anytime you have a show, try to tag me, hit me up with a text. Let me know so I could share it with the Philadelphia fans that follow me on Twitter. And I could also share it as much as I can. Really appreciate the time, Orrie. Have a good Sunday, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you, brother. See you.
Go Mets. Take care. All right, have a good one. All right, that was Orrie Hicks. Great job. Had a little problem with the internet. I don't know what's going on. Again, we're having an air show here. So I just want to close out the show. Obviously, Ray was supposed to join us. He's under the weather, so we're sending him good vibes. Wanted to just do my extra point here. And there's something happening, right? There's something happening because, and I really, really feel that this is Stranger Things. Okay. Orrie just said that he's a ride or die fan. I'm not like that at all. I am not like that at all. I grew up a Jet fan. I grew up a Knick fan. I grew up a Met fan. I grew up a New York Ranger fan. By the way, New York Rangers have a legitimate chance to win the Stanley Cup. Watched a ton of New York Ranger games this year. People want to call me a fair weather fan. It's not that, okay? I said to Jared on Twitter and Greg the other day, I said I'm rooting for the Chargers and the Falcons. And Jared's like, oh, man, you change teams like you change shirts. No, I root for players. And the reason why I have to root for players is because the Jets and the Mets have been terrible. The Jets haven't made the Super Bowl since 1969. The Mets haven't won a World Series since 1986. But if you look at my TikTok page, if you look at all the articles that I'm writing a weekly clubhouse on the Mets. I am so impressed with what the Jets have done this offseason. It's amazing. They got 3 absolute playmakers in the draft, 3 potential Pro Bowlers. And what the Mets are doing right now is phenomenal. It's so fun to watch. It is so fun to watch. I am enjoying this Mets team. I mean, look at the no-hitter the other night, what they did. 5 pitchers pitched a no-hitter. I got the MLB pass, so I watch all the games. So this is really strange because for the first time in decades, I'm actively rooting for the Mets and the Jets. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Just when I thought I was out after 20 years of incompetence, they pulled me back in. I really believe that the Mets are a legitimate contender to win the World Series. And I think the Jets, over the next 2 or 3 years, although I don't like their coach and I don't like their quarterback, Zach Wilson, I think they're doing all the right things on paper. So it's very strange for me right now to be rooting and actively cheering these 2 teams. Okay, I want to thank Orrie Hicks. I want to thank you, the fans. Make sure to give us the thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. We are off next week because it is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. We're going to have new guests, first-time guests on the Full Monty Sports Show. So we love having new guests all across the country. And in 2 weeks, we will have 2 people who've never been on the show. Thanks for watching. And in the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. That will never be broken.
They hit big shots with Luka. I think the Clippers have no idea.
Oh, look at that reaction. Look at that reaction.